Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles. Welcome to my channel where I do everything sewing. Before I start, let me tell you that I'm wearing my Isidro top that I showed you on the previous video, a new pattern by Itch to Stitch. And so far loving it, very versatile for me, and I love the shaping and how it fits and how I feel in it. So if you haven't seen that video, go and have a look. Now I want to show you today a pattern by Style Arc. I have made these patterns before and I've had good experiences, so I decided to give the Marilyn dress a go. I will insert here a line drawing so you can see. It is a relaxed fit A-line dress with tiny little side bust studs, two options for the V-neck, high and a lower V, 3/4 length sleeves. I have these like slit, you can see your arm thing, and tie detail there. I love the style, I love the design, what I'm looking at there. And I decided to make mine into a top, not a dress. As I've said before, you know, a dress can be a top and a top can be a dress. There is always a way. This is designed to be made with lightweight wovens, you know, silk, crepe, rayon, linen, all those things that are lightweight. I chose to make it in a red crepe. Style Arc has a wide range of sizing from sizes 4 to 30, and for this particular pattern there is a multi-size option available, but only on the paper patterns. For the PDF version that I have, because I can't go and get paper patterns, you still choose your size and then you get one size above and one size below. For the body measurements, you have a bust of 30.3 inches to 58.25 inches and hips from 32.6 to 61 inches. Now my body measurements put me in a 14, right? I know that now from Style Arc, but you know, it says it's a relaxed fit and whatnot, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna make a 12, let's just go for it. Now these patterns, the sizes are not nested, so you print like a 12 or you print a 14, so if you want to blend sizes it's a little bit harder. But yeah, you know, when you just want to try a smaller size, well, that's what I did. I made a 12, and then I'm gonna let you know what the consequences are from choosing a size too small. So on the up close and so personal segment, you're going to see an array of items I decided to highlight about this make. First, you're going to see how I eliminated the back center seam because it wasn't necessary. I added some back shaping with some back fisheye darts. Now you have seen me do this, and I've actually got a tutorial just about this, and I used the yoke top as an example, that free pattern by Seamwork. If you haven't watched that, please watch that because it will give you a more general idea about what I'm talking about. So I will link it in the card here and down below there, because I take it from there. For the yoke top, the shape of the dart that I decided to do was concave, and now for this top I decided to use convex. And the reason for this change, you're gonna all see it in there. Just a little change, just a way to step up your dart game, so you can achieve different results for different items of clothing and the characteristics that they have. I also changed the way the sleeves were made because it's way too hot here to do it like they wanted you to do it, so I'm also showing you that. So let's hop into the up close and so personal. There is a center back seam, and up there near the neckline you're supposed to leave a little slit and then put a loop and a little button. I'm gonna forego that because actually the back has no shaping at all. It's just a straight line, and I am seeing that with the opening of the neckline I can perfectly just pull this over my head, so that detail I'm just gonna skip it. What I like about Style Arc patterns is that they have your stitch line marked there. So the dotted line is where you stitch, and then you have the 3/8 seam allowance there. So it's very easy to just fold under and get rid of that seam allowance and then put the back on the fold. You've seen me do darts before on the yoke top, so I've done my line across that marks the height of my back, or the end of my bodice at the back. And then I have measured from there inwards 12, like you saw me do. That is the half of the distance between my apex and my apex, and then the width of this dart, or the depth of it, is 3 centimeters. So I've measured 15 up and 15 down. You can see the darts are slightly curved, so it's not a straight line. The curve goes inwards, so it's convex curve. So last time for the yoke top, you saw me do lines that were concave, so outwards. You can manipulate the shape of these curves to take less or more fabric away depending on the style or on what you want. Place these side by side so you can see the difference. You can see on both I have marked the waistline there across the pattern, and then I have the same depth of the darts. I'm taking away 3 centimeters there, 3 centimeters there. It's the same thing. Now you can clearly see how much more fabric I am going to take away from this area and at the bottom as well. Now I made the yoke dart at the top a little bit longer because this blouse has more ease. This one that has less ease, I made it slightly shorter, 15 centimeters there, and this one's 18. I made them both the same towards the bottom, but you can see how much less fabric I'm going to remove from the hip area here compared to the yoke. Now I just want you to see this tiny bust dart. Now I have measured it and it takes away 5/8 of an inch in depth. That is a tiny dart. This dart was placed up there, and so I had to lower that bust point to where my bust point, well, my bust point is actually over here. That my apex around there actually. So this tiny dart is really far away from it. I'm not sure how much it's going to add to the shaping. We shall see. I'm trusting Style Arc at the moment. I'm not going to modify that. I just lowered it and I'm going to sew and see how it goes. For my layout, I have taken my back and front pieces that are both on the fold. Remember, I eliminated that center back seam there, that loop. And so I just extended my fabric, folded it in, and I have 2 folds there and the selvages are there in the middle, and I actually cut the fabric there, so separate piece, see? Then with the rest of the fabric I have come over here and placed these 2 sleeve pieces. They include like a tie, so that's the way I could place them on to take up less fabric. And now this pattern comes with a facing for the V-neck line and the facing for the back. I don't want to do facings, so with this there's a fold there. I'm hoping to get quite a large square there that I can make bias binding with, and then I'm going to have a good, I don't know, 30 centimeters of fabric left, and I like having this type of fabric around. It's a crepe, and I have used this to underline collars in chiffon instead of using interfacing before, so I like having pieces of this around, so that leftover piece there is going to serve me well. The sleeves for this pattern have 2 pieces, the back and the front, and in the middle of the sleeve there's a seam. This is supposed to be lined, so I was supposed to cut out 2 pieces for each, and then there's certain points there where you bag out and then you leave an opening there to show a bit of arm, and the lining would, you know, also catch these ties, everything would be neatly closed, but I don't really want to do that. So what I'm gonna do is I've made lots and lots of bias tape, and I am going to bind all this edge here around there and up to here, and I'm gonna do that with each of these sleeve pieces. So then when I'm assembling, these edges are finished and I can just, you know, put on the sleeve as normal, but I'll show you that later. I have sewn the underarm seam. You can see the front and the back pieces there. That's been stitched. I have bound the bottom, and that is going to be like the hem of these sleeve pieces. And then after doing that, I have gone and bound all the other areas there, all the ties and up, and now I can just put this sleeve on like normal. Okay, so here is my lovely Marilyn top. Some features, I chose the lower V neckline. Even though it's the lower V, it's still modest. I'm not showing anything. I did the same bias binding V finish you saw on my Hack of the Melrose top, the color blocked one. I will put a link up, you know, in the card and down below so you can see that technique if you want to see that, because I didn't film it with this because I've already shown it. So if you want to see how I finish this V with bias binding, have a look there. Now the sleeves, you saw me finish them, but I didn't show you how I put them on. I just sewed them on like normal, you know. pretend that this was closed there, that this was just your sleeve, only it's just open there. And the bias binding finishes that nicely. So basically my arm is all open from the seam down to the bottom. Now that was different from the original design because it had you bag the sleeve out with the lining and then the slit started a bit lower. But I didn't want 2 layers of fabric on my sleeves. Like, why would I want that? I live in Brazil. I want less layers, thank you very much. I love the 3/4 length sleeves with these ties, super cool. Making a lot of bias tape was a lot of work as usual. Doing these little mitered corners with bias tape also takes a while, but I think it's so worth it. Now I told you that I'd made a size too small. And look, if this was another fabric that wasn't totally sheer and I could just wear it with my bra underneath, I would be okay. But because it's sheer, I need to wear a cami underneath, and that gives me extra volume. So it's tight. It's not excessively tight, but in the pictures, you're going to see some vertical lines here, some vertical lines here, some vertical lines all around the upper chest area. Just everywhere really, because I should have made the 14, but you live and you learn. I will make the 14 next time. And you know, I'm not gonna just wear this with a bra underneath. I am not about to go into that look. I do need a cami under. It's still wearable though, still wearable. Yeah, about the hip situation. I did my traditional save the day slits because I needed that extra, you know, that extra give there at the hips because I made a size too small. So what is my recommendation? Make your size. You're supposed to make your size. You're not supposed to make a size smaller, you know? But I do that too, you know? Sometimes we're just in denial and think, oh yes, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be fine. I mean, it would be if this was another fabric that wasn't sheer, but I do actually need the cami under it. I love it. I love this make. I think it's a really cool top. And red, I mean, what's not to like about red, at least for me, you know? Okay, so here I have it on so you can see the lower V is quite modest. I mean, it's not like plunging or anything. The detail here on the sleeves is really good. Now, if this was a normal sleeve, like without the slit, look how tight the size 12 would have been for me. Look. I mean, yeah. 14 is my size. But because the style is, you know, open, it saves the day. I can still wear it. You can see these little vertical lines going there. I mean, it's not excessively tight, but I feel it. Like the cami is really bothering me underneath because of the extra volume it creates. So yeah. Step back there. I chose to have my top here mid hip. This is my preferred length for all my tops. You can see I achieved some shaping at the waist with the darts I took out from the back, you know, the convex fisheye darts I took from the back. Okay, so that gives me the shaping I want there at the back, not excessive, but some shaping at the back. I always want that little shape there. By taking out these little darts at the back, I took out 6 centimeters out of the waist, you know, around there was about 10 inches of ease around the waist, so I took out what, 2.5 inches out of the ease. So it's still, you know, still nice and roomy, but you can see the shape is highlighted, and for my body type I need to have that. I can't have a box. But anyway, that is all I wanted to share today. Tomorrow I have a Pinterest inspired look for you. Very interesting. I did encounter some problems along the way that did have a solution. That is the vlog coming tomorrow, Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that little bell so you get notified when I upload, so you don't miss a sewing tip with me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.